Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
This episode is brought to you by Starbucks.
That is fire.
Whoa, that's good.
This might be the drink of the summer.
Okay, I like this one too. I'm rocking with it. Okay.
Try it for yourself. Starbucks Refreshers Concentrates are coming home. Find them in the coffee aisle and make it yours.
Want to elevate your travel experience? Here's how. With a Delta SkyMiles Reserve American Express card, you can relax before your flight in the Delta Sky Club with up to 15 visits per medallion year. And now through July 15th, 2026, you can earn up to 125,000 bonus miles, so you're closer to your next adventure. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve card. Check out the new design at www.delta.com/Spotify. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel. Okay, so I have mentioned on this show a few times, and I know for a fact that I've mentioned on There Can Only Be One, that I am a musician. But when I was learning to play bass, I learned on an upright by taking string orchestra class in high school. Really, really freaking cool. Which kind of gives you an idea as to why I've always found an affinity for movie scores. I get swept away by the music if the score is that good. And we have talked about movies on this show where the score is sometimes the best part of the film. We're about to see over the next few weeks if that holds true for some of the composers who we're going to be talking about. Because this week, we're starting this run with the one, the only, Hans Zimmer. And here to join me, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to this one. I can't wait to hear your perspective on some of these soundtracks or scores.
There are scores.
Cinematic.
That's always been the biggest thing, right? And some movies do this, right? They'll release the soundtrack and then they'll release the score. I mean, some soundtracks, they just come out and then there's like a couple of little score tracks here and there. I used to love buying score CDs. And I know you appreciated and regretted that choice of mine when we were in college because I had a bunch of those CDs in my backpack because you never knew what you were going to need for a school project.
But it was the best. I could say, okay, I need something epic.
Mm-hmm. I got that.
And yeah, you would always be able to say, okay, here you go. Track 5.
Right. I am still that geek. Absolutely. And some of my favorite scores, I mean, I would sit on the bus and listen to score CDs and score cassettes. Yeah, I said cassettes. I'm that old. I said cassette.
As someone who had to help you hoist around this backpack full of CDs and the CD book, like
you make it sound like we had to put my backpack on two large sticks and carried it around like it's the Ark of the Covenant.
Well, I considered getting you like one of those wheelie suitcases, to put your CD book in, your 500 disc. Anyway, I am grateful for Spotify.
I'm so called out right now.
I am so grateful that everything, for the most part, is digital music right now.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do with this and the next couple of weeks of episodes. We're going to pick 3 films each, keep a watch and a pass, but our picks are based maybe not necessarily on the score, but on the movie as a whole. So our past picks may have nothing to do with the music in the score. So take it for what you will, and sometimes you got to pick it. You just have to pick a film, even though all of them are really good. And there are a lot of good movies scored by Hans Zimmer. So, Carrie, we're going to start with you. Your keep pick for movies scored by the one and only Hans Zimmer.
This one was no contest. Rain Man, 100,000% is a movie that I grew up watching. I was excited to see that it was, of course, scored by Hans Zimmer, and the music. I mean, I personally like the soundtrack. Like, I remember the scene with Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. And it was that casino scene where they're all suited up, and just like the music in that moment brought it to life.
You know what the funny thing is that when I think about Rain Man, that's not necessarily the Hans Zimmer score that I keep in mind. Like when I think of Hans Zimmer, I think obviously of like the DCEU. Of course, that's going to be a big one because Zack Snyder is involved. I think about lots of the Christopher Nolan films that have been done with Hans Zimmer at the podium or at with the baton and making sure that everything runs smoothly. Rain Man's kind of out of left field for me as far as, you know, the Hans Zimmer filmography, but you're right, it is a fantastic film. I just never associated the two together. I mean, that's not to say that every score has to sound like it came from Hans Zimmer. No, like he's a composer, you know, capable of handling more than one style and more than one genre of music. That's a great pick, though. Did not think about that one. And yeah, it is arguably one of the best pre-turn of the century Tom Cruise performances. It's a masterpiece by Dustin Hoffman. Absolutely. That's the thing. Like, Tom Cruise was really good in it, but just when you're beside that Dustin Hoffman performance, you could have had the best acting performance of your entire career, but you're beside Dustin Hoffman in that film, just nailing it. And it benefited from Tom Cruise. Don't get me wrong, but Hoffman stole the show. Okay, I already kind of alluded to this one earlier for my keep pick because it almost seems synonymous that Christopher Nolan and Hans Zimmer are going to work together. And I didn't want to be completely Captain Obvious and go with one of the Batman films, so I opted to go with Inception. This was a ridiculously cool film. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the Batman films that Christopher Nolan directed. Absolutely love them. But Inception, and the fact that Christopher Nolan likes to use practical effects, so a lot of the things, like the one scene where like there's all like the fruit and all that kind of exploding out into the street and all that, it is so well done. It's such a mind bend, and I think still to this day, because I've never read it, so if it has been explained, I don't know about it. The spinning top at the end of the film, I love that. That's just, it's just there, and it just holds your attention and never explained, and nor does it need to be explained, which I think is actually really cool. I think it's better that something like that, that kind of symbology, not explained in the slightest. All right, for my watch pick, I'm going with yet another epic film starring Russell Crowe. I'm going with Gladiator. And when you think about it, Gladiator to me is kind of like to Russell Crowe what Braveheart is to Mel Gibson. Now, I recognize that Russell Crowe didn't direct Gladiator. You know, Mel Gibson did direct Braveheart, but it's such an epic freaking tale. And the Hans Zimmer score adds so much to it. And it just goes to show you, I mean, there's a reason why they had to wait like 24 years in order for them to be able to actually do a sequel. And I mean, I haven't even watched the sequel. I'm afraid to. I'm honestly afraid to watch this. Have you ever had that? Like where there's a sequel to a film that you love and you're afraid to watch it because you're afraid that it's going to actually tarnish what you like about the original.
I think of it in different terms. Like, I was so excited about the new Bill and Ted movie when it was coming out, when it came out into theaters. And I hyped it up so much in my mind. I was like, finally, they're reconnecting. And, well, it wasn't at all what I had hoped. I mean, obviously they were having fun with it, but it's always the sequel, or in this case, the threequel, that I don't know. Sometimes it can be just a little disappointing, and you can allow your expectations to be the cause of your disappointment. Not that it's a bad movie, but
no.
When you hype it up, to a level, and it just doesn't meet the expectation.
I'm going to argue on that one. Bill and Ted Face the Music is not exactly a great film. I'm not a fan of it. I know, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because I know there are films like that where it's like, I wanted to like it, but it's not there. But but have you ever actually actively avoided a film, a sequel, so it wouldn't tarnish your love of the original? Like, I know you weren't a fan of Beetlejuice either.
Yeah. No, that is true. I would definitely say, there are some sequels that I go into with great trepidation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say I avoid them, though, because I still want to see the movie and where they've taken it.
Okay, but to that token, and we have talked about The Crow on this film on numerous occasions, the original starring Brandon Lee, but we haven't watched the remake with Bill Skarsgård. And I know it qualifies, and I know sometime down that road we may have to go down that road, but I almost don't want to. I think more so because it's a remake than a sequel. Like, we watched all the Crow sequels up to and including Wicked Prayer, but they were okay because it wasn't a remake. I mean, Gladiator 2 might be good because it's a sequel, because it's a continuation of the story of the bloodline kind of thing of Maximus, but
I kind of feel like this conversation is turning into the Jay and Silent Bob explanation of the reboot movie. And how they were like, no, it's not a sequel, it's a reboot. So we're remaking the film.
It's not an IP and sequel.
Yeah. But it literally this definitely took a reboot turn.
We sound really Canadian now. So how about that?
Right.
How about the reboot?
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
When it's time to scale your business, it's time for Shopify. Get everything you need to grow the way you want. Like, all the way. Stack more sales with the best converting checkout on the planet. Track your cha-chings from every channel, right in one spot. And turn real-time reporting into big-time opportunities. Take your business to a whole new level. Switch to Shopify. Start your free trial today.
Welcome to a new era of baseball's great spectacle, the T-Mobile Home Run Derby, live on Netflix. The biggest sluggers in baseball put their talents to the test on All-Star Weekend. Raw power meets star power. Big swagger meets bigger slams. And you don't swing to make contact. You swing to make history. Watch the T-Mobile Home Run Derby live on Netflix, Monday, July 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific.
All right. Well, now that we've finished talking about reboots, over to you, your watch film scored by Hans Zimmer.
So we were talking about reboots, and I've got to go with a movie that I like the original more. It has been rebooted to a live action, but I have to give love to The Lion King. Now, this is probably, I'm making my choice more for the soundtrack, and the musical numbers. I mean, Hakuna Matata, how can you not love that song? Or I Just Can't Wait to Be King. The songs were so incredibly catchy, but I cannot ignore the power behind the soundtrack, behind the score, behind during the really, dark scenes of the battle with Scar and the king Mufasa, right? The music carried those scenes. It brought them like to, 11 on the powerful scale. Even when the animals were like running, and it's just so majestic. And yeah, I really feel the music, the soundtrack, the score, the made it cinematic, and it made it what it is. But it was also, very much due to the songs and the recognizable sing-along musical numbers as well.
I mean, I kind of wish this was a bit of a video podcast, because when you mentioned the Lion King, I'm like, wait, what? And then you realize, like, oh crap, it was him too. Like, maybe it's just I have it stuck in my head that I so associate Hans Zimmer with the superhero film and the like. And you have to remind yourself, like, I'm just taking a quick look here at some of the Hans Zimmer films, and I'm just, yes, working with Denis Villeneuve. Yes, working with Christopher Nolan. But then you double back and you realize, like, oh yeah, there's also like the Madagascar films. There's also Muppet Treasure Island. There's The Boss Baby. Like there's so many films that Hans Zimmer has scored, like so freaking many. It's a smorgasbord of films, but there's so much diversity in his filmography that if you have a vision in your head of what someone's sounds like as far as their compositions go, you can be thrown off occasionally, like I was, by a pick like that. So I love that pick. I love the fact that it's not in the typical, you kind of expect it to be a Hans Zimmer kind of pick. All right. So now we get to our past picks. Remember, just because we're passing on the movie doesn't mean we're necessarily passing on Hans Zimmer's score. So, Carrie, your past pick.
I know you're going to feel attacked by my past choice.
Uh-oh. Are we going to have words?
I think so. And I know I stand behind passing on both or either one of the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. Now, this is because I know that you are a huge fan of the novels.
I have read the Dan Brown books, although I will say to that effect that my favorite Dan Brown books are not the ones in the Da Vinci Code series, which also includes Angels and Demons and Inferno. No. The best Dan Brown books are the ones that aren't tied at all to it. Deception Point is a fantastic freaking novel, but I digress. Carry on.
It's just not my thing. Like, honestly, I know, you read the novel, then watched the movie, right? So you didn't go into the movie with any...
No, I watched the movie and then I read the book.
Was it that order?
Yeah.
Okay. At that point, you kind of... I don't know if it takes away from the imagination of, kind of envisioning how you think the movie should look based on what you're reading in the book, or do you go into like reading the novel, picturing the actors from the movie?
I'm of two minds of that. I mean, I do read a lot. Yes, I do. I read. I'm sure we have talked about it on the show a number of times. We have a veritable library in our recording studio. It's probably the most expensive soundproofing we'll ever put in here, but I'm sorry, not sorry. When it comes to some of the books I read, though, yes, they're kind of based on known properties. I like reading Star Wars books. I like reading Marvel books and DC books and Doctor Who books. So I have a picture in my head of what those characters are going to look like. But when I pick up a book about, a brand new story, something I've never, seen in a visual medium, I do get into the habit of trying to mentally cast the book myself. I've only ever been right once. Only once. If I read a book, had a picture of the actor in that role, and then when the movie was made, that was it. That was the relic. And when I read it, I'm reading the main character. I'm like, this feels like the kind of role Penelope Ann Miller should take. And then the movie comes out and it's starring Penelope Ann Miller. So I've only ever done a good casting job once. But when it came to the Dan Brown books, especially the Robert Langdon ones, like, there's a lot going on in these books. And I'm reading and I'm like, how are you going to film this, right? Having watched the Da Vinci Code first and then reading the book, it's like, okay, now I'm picturing, Tom Hanks in that role. And then Angels and Demons, I read that before I saw the movie. And I'm like, And I've also read Inferno recently, and I'm just like, I don't actually want to watch that movie now after actually reading the book. I find the Robert Langdon books, I mean, they're okay. They're okay. But Dan Brown has better material. And I'd love to see Deception Point be turned into a movie. But I agree that it's not the greatest film, even though it made a ton of money. Obviously, it was based on a best-selling book. It's all good. And the Hans Zimmer score, very, very good as well. Can't go wrong there. But I don't disagree with your pass pick. It's not something I would go back and watch it. Did I mind it? It's okay. But I don't know if I would actively go out to rewatch the film.
I just remember it as a great nap time.
You remember many movies as a great nap time, though.
Yeah.
All right. For my pass pick, it was tough to pick a pass, though. I'll be honest. Because if you take a look at Hans Zimmer's filmography, there are a ton of films. Really, really, really good films. Now, have I watched all of them? No. No, I have not. I did watch one, though. And it's my pass pick for no musical notes whatsoever. Hans Zimmer's score is great. But I'm passing on Hannibal, the sequel to The Silence of the Lambs. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I think Julianne Moore is a fantastic actor. I do. But it's so weird. Like, the first film comes out and it's huge. The first Silence of the Lambs film, amazing. Jodie Foster's Clarice Starling, pitch perfect. And of course, as Hollywood is wont to do, as soon as a movie makes a ton of money, all right, we got to do a sequel. Well, luckily there's a book for that. But then they didn't get Jodie Foster to reprise her role as Clarice Starling. So they bring in Julianne Moore to play that role. And it's a different performance. I mean, Anthony Hopkins is exactly what you want him to do. But I watched Hannibal and it felt lackluster to me. And I feel bad, right? Because people are going to sit there and go, well, it wasn't Jodie Foster. Well, no, it wasn't. And it's not that Julianne Moore wasn't good. It's just that I found the story lacking a little bit. Like, Silence of the Lambs was such a good tete-a-tete between Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling. Hannibal, not as much. Okay, Carrie, let's remind our listeners what our keep, watch, and pass picks are for movies scored by Hans Zimmer.
I am keeping Rain Man, watching The Lion King, and passing on the Da Vinci Code.
All right. I am keeping Inception, I'm watching Gladiator, and I'm passing on Hannibal. Carrie, thank you so much for this. And to you, our dear listeners, stick around for the next couple of weeks because we have more episodes based on movies scored by specific composers. So if you're a bit of a score whore, you're in the right spot. But until next time, you guys know the drill. If there is a topic out there that you want us to cover on Keep Watch Pass or a movie that you want us to cover on It's Not That Bad, hit us up on social media at Not That Badcast and go to our website, notthatbadcast.com. But until that time, she's Carrie. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Keep Watch Pass on the It's Not That Bad podcast channel and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.